Welcome. We're heading to Ardui today, sort of skirting the coast and messing around, turning inland from Blankenberge. It's a lovely, lovely day. Virtually no wind, and the man who's leading us, of course, Rowan Dennis, after a spectacular, dominant performance in the individual time trial. Vasyl Kirienko looked pretty handy, but unfortunately he got a 45 seconds error in his start time, so that didn't work out for him. Dennis taking it, and indeed leads overall, as you can see, by a margin of 5 seconds from Jos van Emden and Peter Sagan. So Jos van Emden will be wearing the red jersey on behalf. Peter Sagan, I was going to say. I beg your pardon. It is Peter Sagan that leads the points. He of the sort of ever hairier look, to be honest. But then again, it's a look that bodes well. Usually when he's got hippie style, he's doing very, very well indeed. It's called relaxed. And he is at the moment comforted, as the French say, by just 4 points at the top of the points classification. Peter Sagan then dominating that. We also have a combativity competition here. It's about the intermediate sprints. And Bert van Lerberger, who was in the break yesterday and so hit that golden kilometre, which counts for an awful lot. It also counts for a small barrel of beer, which goes down really well with the mechanics once, of course, they've finished all their jobs. There are soft drinks available, I'm sure. But he leads the combativity competition for now, having been in the break yesterday. So, not much wind to speak of. In fact, it was. I believe it was on this particular coast that, where many years ago, I'll remember the soul singer's name in a few moments' time. It has been a bit tiring. It's been a long season. Yes, came to rest his bones, quite frankly. These guys, no rest for them, and indeed for our leader, Rowan Dennis looks pretty handy, to say the very least. He's in that sort of relaxed assassin's mode, which we've seen him in so many times before. So, how will they go today? It's almost destined to be a sprint finish. We had one, of course, on stage one ahead of the individual time trial yesterday, and Groenewegen took that. Is he going to have the same kind of firepower, indeed his team from Lotto Jumbo, to deliver him? So watch out for the men in the yellow and black. It's certainly the sprinters, the fast men, that are filling our minds at the moment. And Greg van Avermaet, well, he had a decent individual time trial, and so remains certainly a possibility for the title outright. Tom Bonen has won in today's, effectively today's stage in previous years, to Ardui. I don't think in the sort of sprint company he's got here, the likes of Christoph, Kittel, Greipel, that he's going to have the same sort of chance. What about Degenkolb? But that's one for the heart, isn't it? If he was to win today, it would be yet further part of his recuperation. As you can see, he's in a playful mood. Andre Greipel is anything but. He's livid. He's been giving out in the press about the fact that they select us for the World Championships have still not made up their mind. Tom Dumoulin looks like he's struggling at the end of what's been a busy season. No surprise there, I guess you might say. And Tim Wellens, he wears number one, and he kind of acting like that as well. The rather angular figure here to entertain. It's a great atmosphere at the sign-on, I've got to say, Brian, and many turn up to see them. And in fact, it's kind of that kind of a party atmosphere. Everyone seems delighted to be here, except Andre Greipel, who looks absolutely steaming angry.
Yes, it's a good day. You know, the weather's, early low 20s and, nice and sunny. So everybody likes racing in these conditions. It's a good time trial yesterday. I feel energised after eating my banana earlier on today. But it's a really nice feeling, nice and relaxed. But this is quite a tricky run into the finish. We get to see it a couple of times anyway. But it always produces a very kind of treacherous sprint, especially when we get to the corner with about 1.2 kilometres to go. Then a chicane just afterwards. It's all about positioning, and talking about positioning, BMC have positioned their riders right to the fore of this race. Plenty of options. Tom Dumoulin disappointed yesterday, but he said, the GC is over. Nothing's over in this race. Anything can happen. But a lovely day. Even the race director's hair is not even moving an inch. So, it's it's going to be a sprint. There's no wind, so it's not going to split up earlier on in this race.
Well, he's lost the big Father Christmas beard, hasn't he, that we've seen in the past. It looks beautifully trimmed these days. Yeah, it was Marvin Gaye, by the way, who I was struggling to think about, at Blankenberge. Came and spent some time, quite frankly, and yeah, got his head together and then came back to great success before his, of course, ultimate demise. Anyway, or decline and demise. This is where we are starting, so on the coast and then heading inland once we get to Ostend. And we will join a circuit. We'll do most of it, and then we will have 2 full laps once we get to Ardoi itself. There it is. We've got about 70 kilometres to go. They've had their feed, so all that's out of the way with. And we've got a reasonable quality breakaway. Quite a long day today, to be honest. Well, we'll see how they cope with it. At the moment, they've got 3 minutes and 9, as you can see. Top Sport have made it up to the 4 yet again. They've got Stein Steels. That's Arashiro, who's heading off to the Bahrain team next year. Merida, pleased to have him on board, and why would you not be? Wanty Group Gobert are also here. They're in the blue, number 218. That's Mark McNally. Now, he finished behind Jesper Asselman in the Ronde van Drenthe recently, and Jesper's also in the break from Roompot, so wearing the orange. So they were 1 or 2 in that race, and I suspect that, well, they've now got history, let's put it that way. Let's see how they deliver it today, or maybe turn another page. And the other, which we haven't mentioned, was Martin Elmiger from I Am Cycling, the eternal breakaway team, it seems to be. Well, there's a reasonable amount of work being done here, and it's good to see Rowan Dennis looking so relaxed yesterday, despite his efforts in the individual time trial. He looks to be on stellar form, and I guess in many minds he remains amongst the favourites. And if you're thinking, well, he can't climb, what's he going to do when he gets the climbs? Well, he did that in the Tour of California quite happily, and indeed went on to win that race, of course, last season. So how would it go here? Probably very well. There are plenty out to stop him, however. Fabio Fellini had a decent time trial, so did Greg van Avermaet, so did Peter Sagan. Don't count Sagan out for a sprint finish today. Don't forget, this is kind of a mishmash. This, yeah, I mean it in the nicest way. Or a stompot. Let's call it that, shall we? That's mashed potato, Swede, mustard, anything you want. It's a mix-up of all the classics. Tomorrow we've got the cobbles of the Omloop Het Nieuwsblad and the Brabantspiel. Today, though, it is a big one for the sprinters. Into Ardui. Bungermack paces up, and Groenewegen is, well, he's hungry. Maybe they should give him more sandwiches. I'm not quite sure. But Dylan, after humiliating, humbling, really, some of the big-name sprinters who've come to this race in the opening stage, wants to do it again. And why not? Well, when you know who's here, it kind of makes you wince, really, about the prospects of a very technical finish today. And as you can see, the pace is really high. They're not hanging around out there, Brian. They want a piece of this day, and sprint opportunities have run, well, they run out today, really.
Yeah, the maximum advantage for the 5 leaders was 6 minutes and 25 seconds, but 4 teams have come to the front. It's the man from Lotto NL Jumbo Russen at the front, Hofstetter from Cofidis, Jungels up there for Ethics. BMC have put a rider in there because the virtual leader in the roads at the moment is in fact Martin Elminger, the 37-year-old Swiss rider. He's on good form, but he's into his 15th year as a professional. Recently finished 4th in the GC in the Arctic race of Norway, so on reasonably good form. Still hunting, I believe, for a contract, and so wants to keep his name out there. So he started today at 23 seconds. The other riders in the breakaway were over 1 minute, so that's why BMC have to put a rider in the chase. But noticeably, Lotto Soudal just sitting back. Graipo has won this race at this stage into Ardui. Okay, different starts, but he's won this stage twice, 2011, 2010. He was outmanoeuvred by Renshaw in 2013 when he finished second. If you can remember, they came in, Rabobank came into that final 1.2, the right left-hand corner at 1.2 kilometres, let the wheel go, and he was trying to lead out Tail Boss. Tail Boss let the wheel go, and Renshaw held on and won that stage, but Greipel was second. So Greipel likes this stage. He's making a lot of noises in the press about
an awful lot.
the German selectors. You can read it for yourself, but if a man is pretty much wants to win this stage today, then it's Greipel.
My feelings precisely. I think that Greipel today is so angry. He's so keyed up. You saw him on the sign-on today. All the interviews have only been vowels, no consonants. You know that? Just.
You know what upset him yesterday?
He's speaking guerrilla.
You know what upset him yesterday?
I do know what upset him yesterday.
They spelled his name wrong. They had the placard in the front of the car. After many years as a professional, they still spelled his name wrong.
All right, let's talk about what Andre's angry about, and then you'll decide how much adrenaline he's going to pour onto today. The main thing is that there's still no decision from the German Federation as to whether they're going to go with Marcel Kittel or Andre Greipel, and apparently they've said they won't go with both. And he's not making it easy for them. However, the German Federation is connected loosely to Ethics Quickstep as well. It has a connection, Brian.
A coach, yes.
All right, there we are. And we're not just talking about a Volvo or a Van Hool or whatever. No. One of the selectors has an attachment, let's put it that way, or deemed to have some kind of association with. Yes, I know. With Ethics Quickstep. And Greipel, he believes that he's basically on the back foot. So after yesterday's time trial, where I predicted that Marcel Kittel would go well because he wants to stick it to Andre in terms of the selectors, and he did used to be a time trialist, I thought that Greipel would tip himself, Kittel would tip himself all over that, and he did. It was brilliant. Gets himself a top 10. Excuse me. At what cost? Well, he's proving he's all singing, all dancing, all bequiffed, blonde-haired beauty that, of course, German cycling fans absolutely adore. And then you've got the gorilla, and he's not happy. He's not exactly sitting in the corner either. And today, Andre will go for it. His Lotto Soudal team want to deliver him where he can perform, and I think he will today. Marcel Sberg, Jürgen Rollens, and Jens Debusschere or Debusschere. You take your pick. However, there is lead-out man Greipel. Bang, he's in for this, and it's almost all or nothing. This is his all-in poker game today.
Well, he's putting the pressure on the selectors, and if he wins today, then they're going to have to make a decision soon. There's, I think, 4 people on that kind of committee that's going to decide. I think they've got six riders, and I think they've already thought about who they're going to go with. But it's been a while since Germany won the World Road Race title. Greipel has had a medal in the past, but you got to remember that it's not often that a sprinter gets the opportunities like this to win the world title. It might not come up again for Greipel because he's in the twilight of his career. While Kittel is still a developing rider, still young enough, and he could go for another title in the future. So it's open to the selectors now, and I don't know what decision they're going to make.
What would you make? Greipel.
You know what? If I was just thought of it there. If I was there, I'd take both of them. I would take both of them. You never know what happens in the World Road Race Championships.
Do you know what? You're absolutely right.
And I
don't know why it's off the cards.
You go with both of them and you tell them, and you see how it goes. And the person in that car has to make the call who they go for, and they have to give 100%. But it's getting Kittel and Greipel in a room and say to them, look, we're riding as one and not against each other. And if you can solve that problem, then I think they could be onto a winner. But
well, part of the problem would be is they just gave everyone a medal as part of a winning team, quite frankly. If 8 rowers cross the line and they all get a medal, it only counts as one, but they all actually get a physical medal. Why not? You know my beef about this. I think road racing is a team sport, and as we all know, and basically they should all be rewarded no matter who crosses the line first. But that's just my thoughts. 62.8, little less than that, kilometres to go. 2 minutes and 30. This catch is going to happen. There's no wind today, as you can see from the trees here. The odd crabapple remains hanging heavy, as per the flags on their staffs. Indeed, everyone's still out in t-shirts. Mind you, in this part of the world, they still wear t-shirts when it's -2 because that's still deemed to be reasonably warm. It's going to be hot when we get to the sprint, and there is no doubt. Oh, nice to see Vasyl Kirienka smiling. Now, yesterday, Vasyl Kirienka may well have messed up his start in the time trial. In fact, he arrived late. So he kind of had to push past Rowan Dennis to actually take the start and just get on with it. But when Rowan Dennis finished, and it was clearly head and shoulders above everyone else, Vasyl Kirienka had stayed with him throughout the whole of the run, not using any illegal draft, you understand, but was there nonetheless. He's clearly on very, very, very good nick, and I think he could go brilliantly in the World Time Trial, as he did last year. So yeah, you heard it here first. Well, probably second or third. Arashiro steals Elmiger Asselman, and McNally, he gets his own page. Let's talk about Mark McNally, 27 years of age. It comes up from, so we could probably say the northwest of England.
Fazzakerley.
The Scally McNally, is that what you were calling him?
Yeah, that was it. Yeah, that's what his friends call him. From Fazzakerley, which is a suburb of Liverpool. 27. He's been around. This is his best opportunity. He's now at second division Pro Continental. He was second in the first Primus checkpoint sprint today. That was taken by Tom Steels, looking after Van Leberger, who was leading that competition. But it's nice to see Mark McNally in the mix today. He's been fighting over the last few years to get a break. Now he's in a second division team.
There he is, for Wanty in the blue, by the way.
Quite competent at this sort of level.
He is. Madison Genesis boy, of course. Many of you will have seen him rocking and rolling up the hills in Lincoln and elsewhere throughout the United Kingdom. Absolutely brilliant rider. And Wanty took him on, and I'm pleased about that. And it's great to see him here strutting on the stage with these guys. Well, there's 5 in the break. Best placed is Martin Elmiger. He's only 23 seconds down, so hence the chase. Those who they just don't want to let this slip out of their grasp in a silly fashion. No wind, but plenty of these corners, and in fact some of them are going to become pretty familiar to us. Look at that, 10 wide and maximum 4 wide coming through, and when the pace picks up, those 90-degree turns and even more focused, which of course there's all kinds of worriment in the past. Look at those barriers straight over the other side of the road, and a lady sitting there looking like she's ordering a fondue. She's probably filming, but anyway, you get what I mean. It's going to be a bit of a squeeze, and it just feels like it's going to get potentially a bit nasty. Now, those markers at the side of the road, you wouldn't want to mess with them. We've seen far too much of that, particularly in the welter, of course, untoward. It's hard with this much street furniture to actually guard everything. These ones are, I believe, not solid metal. They're sort of padded. Sort of guides, if you like. So if you smack into them, you'll certainly know about it. You'll come down, but it probably won't be the post itself that causes you too much injury, but you'll certainly get hurt. Cobbles, mixed surface, cobbles onto flat brick, onto tarmac, asphalt. There are other various asphalts, and indeed the rest of it. And we're in Gits, which is home of Kenny van Vlaming. I haven't seen him for a while.
No, I believe he's lost a team sponsor, so I don't know how that's going on. But yeah,
not Peter's Pipes. Have they gone elsewhere?
I'm not too sure what one it is. I don't think he's disclosed that.
Yeah, has the pipes and often smokes it. 59 kilometres remaining, and the chase is still being led at the moment. Old Bob Jungels, Mr. Bojangles, he's doing a fantastic job here, but so are BMC, Lotto, of course, Jumbo, working for Dylan Groenewegen, who's got to still believe that he can get another stage win after powering to stage 1. He looked great.
A really messy sprinting. I think this is going to be a little similar, a little chaotic towards the end with that left-hander, the chicane. It's all about positioning. You know, we've seen a crash a couple of years ago on the finishing straight, but Tom Bonan won it last year, but Bohani won in 2014, Renshaw 2013. It was a time trial in 2012 when Swain Tuft won it. Greipel won in 2010 and 11. Tyler Ferrer won in 2009, and Bonan won again back in 2008.
There you go. History lesson from Brian. There'll be more. You may even bleed into cookery later on. We'll try. Welcome back. Wet fields. Gosh. Actually, I think it's the polythene that the plants have burst through. They're your sprouts. Yeah. Those that will be used to create all kinds of gaseous, noxious smells around the Christmas table. I'm not a sprout man.
Is that
Brian?
why they call it windy Belgium?
I think quite possibly. Are you a sprout man? Is it something you go for?
Sprouts,
Do you?
Yeah, love them.
Only at Christmas or all year?
No, whenever I can get them.
Worst thing I've ever had, full stop, to eat was sprout soup.
I don't think I'd do that.
Oh,
no.
dearie me. Well, actually, it was bad going in.
I quite
and it was
like the
bad
chew.
coming out. Welcome back. We were just discussing sprout soup and how if you're a hot air balloonist it could come in handy. We've passed some of the sprout fields here. 54.9 kilometres away from home and 2 minutes and 28, and it's basically done. I don't know why the breakaway don't just shell out Martin Elminger, give themselves a chance. He's 23 seconds down overall only, and as a result it's a bit of a threat, and I Am Cycling have proven that they're more of a threat on more days than just one, particularly during the Welter where they were outstanding. There is Buani's man, and is Mr. Soup here? Has he dragged his beard all the way up here to this part of the world? He is. I thought I recognised him. It's looking ever more luxurious. I think there's wildlife trapped within it. Come on, get by. Is the Stephen King just telling the cameraman to come by if he wants to. He needs to get to the car. Well, we've had sustenance today. We've had speed. We've had a breakaway that's posted a gap of just shy of the 6-minute mark, and right now it's that hiatus. We've kind of got to that point where the breakaway distance is acceptable. It's manageable, let's put it that way. There's no wind. Look at these tall poplar trees, and they are popular in this part of the world. They're farmed, incidentally. So yes, you'll see some sort of clear spaces between the wooded areas. Jesper Stuyven, we're just hovering in on Trek Zagafredo. We've spoken about Greipel. We've talked about his annoyance with the selection process for the Worlds, and basically just wants to know if he's got to buy a ticket, whether he's going to get the air miles. That's the point. It's all the way off to Qatar, we remind you. Incidentally, you'll be able to see all of the disciplines of the Worlds on Eurosport, your home of cycling. So look forward to your company for that. Meanwhile, let's get back to the sprint. Nasser Bouhanni, chief thug and quick man. You would think that today might suit him, but then again, hard to know, because he's given to giving up when things aren't going his way. If it's messy, he won't like it, let's put it that way. But then again, nobody did last time by. Greipel out of position for Lotto Soudal, so watch out for their red and white jerseys. Marcel Kittel, well, just lost, quite frankly, disengaged, and it was the ability to reform yourself to fight. Now, one team that really have, I think, badged themselves up as a proper fighting force, unfortunately I don't think they've got the warhead for the rocket. It's Francis Tijoux. They've got Arnaud Demer. They stuck with Arnaud and let Bouhanni go. You may remember when they were teammates. Well, they've stuck with Demer, and they've got a great lead-out team that seems to have the fight in their belly. They can bring Demer to the final performance, but can he deliver? That's the point.
I think he can. I'm not too sure if he can deliver the win. He rode well at the start of the year. He's kind of missing an action, but I think he's coming back. They battled in the first stage. Then they get out of, they get boxed in a little bit. Then he came back fighting again. This is a different sprint altogether. In the first stage, it was pretty much straight the last few kilometres. Before that, today you've got a corner. This man here, Tom Bonin, has won this stage in 2 occasions, 2015 and 2008, so he knows it really well. There's 2 sprints. There's one into the left-hander. We'll see it. We'll see the run-in a couple of times. So that left-hander, so it'll be a sprint into there, and very few people, unless you're in the top 6 there, it's very difficult. You go into a chicane, and then out the other side of the chicane, it's full gas. It's all in one line, and you have to sprint again. So it's a fairly technical sprint.
Rick Sulby says the gorilla's bound to be angry. Somebody's eaten his banana. Well, Brian and I had a wager, and there was a banana on it. I think I've made pretty clear that I think Andre Greipel is the man to beat today. He's got history on this particular finish as well. But to be honest, there are so many quick guys here. It's any one of them, any one of 8 different riders, you wouldn't be overly surprised if they managed to make it happen. Even Peter Sagan, actually, who doesn't count himself, he wouldn't normally spring to mind, I don't think you would all say, as favourite to win, but he's such a great bike handler, such a feisty deliverer as well. He's on stellar form. He looks relaxed at the beginning of the day, and that always spells danger for everybody, doesn't it?
It does. I'll just list off a few sprinters that I think
do some and I'll do some. Off
that
you
might
go.
be up there. I'll just rattle through them. Greipel, Kittel, Sagan, Groenewegen, Christoph, Danny Van Poppel, Nizzolo, Whipper, Ewan, Modolo, Gardini, Demar, Bohani, Edvard Bosenhagen. Just a few.
There we are. You're just hoovering them up. Roy Jans, why not? Ray Crader, perhaps. They can go quickly as well. So Rompot, if you see a flash of orange, it's Ray Crader. Roy Jans as well for Wanty Group Gobert. His teammate Mark McNally is up in this breakaway. John Degenkolb would be fantastic. I don't know whether you mentioned Nizzolo, Giacomo for Trek Zagafredo. Earlier on today, you saw a little bit of joshing going on as well, as Degenkolb was just teasing his co-sprinter. Danny Van Poppel for Team Sky. Wouter Whippet for Cannondale as well can go well. I think Caleb Ewan will do something today, but really I think it's between Greipel, Kittel, the aforementioned. Well, how many more do you want to pick? Let's go for 4 favourites, shall we? Greipel, Kittel, Bohani, and I guess you can't discount the mighty man Alexander Kristoff, although he doesn't take wind very well as we sail by the sprout fields once again. If he goes too early, Kristoff, if it's open, and it's likely to be, there's a pretty wide road to play with the last kilometre to go, he suffers terribly from timing. He goes too soon, hits the wind, and it's almost like he puts the sails up in a bad way and gets caught out.
That's the way he sprints. He sprints from, he uses his strength, strong rider, and he wants to be at the front with probably 300 metres to go. Sprints with 250 to go. He goes a long way, and when you come up alongside him, it's a drag race. So that's the way he sprints. He's not got a good double kick.
Yeah.
Get him up to speed from the front. It's difficult to come round him. He's a strong rider, but I think my 4 riders for today has to be Greipel and Kittel, the German battle. Groenewegen, confident, on form, he'll be there and thereabouts, and Bohani, the fighter. But there's so many other sprinters that could be in the mix, and it's
true.
It's one of these tricky sprints, especially inside the last kilometre and a half. It's all about positioning.
Just coming through Cofidis right now, or at least spotting just tagging Cofidis man, as you can see. But we have our breakaway, and they're doing a decent job out front. But the chase at the moment, most of the point work has been done by Lotto Jumbo, and it's giving some teams a chance to have a little chat, shoot the breeze. You saw a few moments ago Rowan Dennis speaking to Geraint Thomas. They were busy engaged in a light discussion about how today may or may not pan out. Danny Van Poppel is the chosen son for Team Sky, and he'll go well, that is for sure. But how well? You just saw Freddie Frisson. He's a big unit, isn't he, our Freddie? He'll be, he takes a lot of air on behalf of Andre Greipel a little bit later on. Well, we're just about to head onto our circuit. We do most of it for the first entree, and then we'll do 2 full laps, and it includes, Brian, our golden kilometre. I was wondering if the breakaway might be caught before then, because if Elmiger manages to pick up another 9 seconds, he's going to trim his gap handsomely.
Yes, but he's not going to take the white jersey, not unless they stay away. The rider in the breakaway, Jesper Asselman from Rompot in the orange. In the second stage last year, courtesy of the golden kilometre, he took the the white jersey, the leadership jersey, and held it for 2 days last year. So, and as you already mentioned, winner of Ron van Drenthe earlier on this year. So it's I don't think it'll be done today, but trying to work out why AG2R at the front are working with Patrick Gretsch. Looking at their roster of Gugar, Barra, Riblon, Gastur, Daines, Bagdonis, Gretsch who's riding in front, and Hooley. I can only think that Bagdonis would be their best bet in a sprint.
There we are, the baggy. Just dwelling on some beautiful water towers here. For some strange reason. There we are, take on some sustenance. Beautiful, pacey, rolling roads today. It's not going to take too much out of them. Still quite a bit of racing to be done, of course, in this great race. And genuinely, I think this is one of the finest races. It gives the Netherlands and Belgium really a chance to use their classic stages all tied up within a stage race. Their classic stays, I should say. Tomorrow, we've got the cobbles of the Omloop. A little bit of a whiff of Brabantspeel and some other races that visit the climbs that we'll be heading to. We then have the team time tower, we remind you, for stage 5. And then we have our Ardennes day where we go to Lanaken, starting in Riemst, which always to me looks like it's just should be spelt into, it's an anagram of some other place. But that's the Amsterdam Gold Race type day. And then we have our mini Flanders where we go to Gerardsbergen and of course the Muur to finish us off and indeed decide who wins this one. It is a cracking race, this. Welcome back. You're looking at our breakaway. They've been quite efficacious, effective today. In fact, they got up to almost 6 minutes, and they've been operating quite beautifully as a team time trialing unit. Coming to the front here for Lampre is Yukiya Arashiro. Now he's going to be part of a new Bahrain team, the Middle East taking an interest. Of course, plenty of races going on there. Bahrain, Dubai, Oman, Qatar, you name it. If it's warm, cyclists will come in the wintertime. And that man is going to basically be based out of Bahrain. I imagine that it will be essentially housed just like everybody else around Spain, probably, somewhere nice and warm. Nonetheless, he's going to that new Middle Eastern creation. Just homing in on the leader of the points classification. There's Peter Sagan. He wears the Tinkoff yellow flag. Also, you can see the accents of a world champion. Suggestions that he wouldn't go to defend defend the rainbow jersey. I think he will, but we've been talking about how you cope with the distance of the World Championships, and you'll forgive us for talking about the World Championships, but quite frankly, this race has got the roster it has simply because it's almost the ultimate preparation for what is going to be a race for the quick men, but it's also about stamina. Now, Lewis Graucut earlier on, sorry Lewis, but Lewis anyway, he said discuss Greipel's stamina over long distances. I'm sure you spoke about him suffering over long kilometre races like the Worlds. Not Greipel. Of the quick men, he is able to sustain quite a lot of punishment. And in fact, he's a very good climber as well. So don't worry too much about Greipel. However, Kittel. Now there's a question for you, Brian. How many long distance races has he actually won that have ended in a sprint?
Well, there is a big difference between winning stages about 200, 220 to winning races about 260 kilometres. And I know that Greipel has medalled before in the World Championships, and he does have that stamina, but does Kittel? These are all the questions that the panel, the German panel, are dwelling with as we speak.
The panel.
Yes.
Sounds serious, doesn't it?
Yes. So
sounds like a unit.
Yeah. So there's a big decision, and like we said a little bit earlier on, send them both, but you have to get them to work together because they apparently there's.
At the moment, they're not even holding doors for each other.
No. So it will be a battle today. Interesting today that Ethics have put a rider in front, pressure on them to win. The Eneco Tour has now come into to Belgium. This man here has won 2 stages. I'm pretty sure if he's involved with the lead out of Kitto, then he'll put him in the right place. But then again, Greipel's got it so right here in the past as well with Lotto Soudal. Pressure on them in Belgium, Belgian team. So big battle, but already Ethics showing their cards at the front, putting a rider up, but Lotto Soudal have not.
Didn't we mention this? We mention this windmill every year, don't we? And we say it's nothing to do with the wind. It's just, it's driven. Inside there's a little guy on a bike. No, it's not. We're probably going to be proven. Usually people get very animated about this. Say it's a fully functioning, if you don't mind. All right. Well, it's a light breeze today, so not much being ground. Hey,
They've put one rider up.
They have. Well, they heard you, Bry. Well, they're showing their intent as well. Lotto Soudal are here. BMC in protecting role. What about Trek? And what about Feline? The man who can do everything. He can go up mountains, or at least at the Welter. He can appear in the sprints. And he had a decent time trial yesterday for Trek Zagavredo. For my money, he remains amongst the favourites to take the title here.
Yep. 24 seconds down as we're rolling through the golden kilometre.
Oh.
That'll be coming up soon.
Well, here we go. Now, how much are they bothered? Is the big question. Elmiger from I Am Cycling has just picked up, boom, or 100 meters time. He wants. He's 23 seconds down at the moment. How is he going?
Yeah, it comes with a 24.5. We're on to the circuit. This will be the
You're
golden kilometre coming
right.
up. And
Next time by, we're on the loop.
The next time by on the last lap. So we go through the finishing line, go on to complete another lap, and this will be done with 24.9 kilometres to go. And then we hit the second passage of the line, 15 kilometres to go. We've got the Primus sprint coming up at 34 kilometres to go.
I'm glad you're on the ball, Brian. That is, of course, the black jersey, the sort of baddie of the piece, and usually it's handed, of course, to somebody in the breakaways. It rewards the break, and we like that. Just passing by some maize fields. They used to grow a lot of tobacco in this part of the world. Thankfully, it's a product that's kind of ebbed in its value. Still highly taxed, of course, quite rightly so. Do you know, you just don't see people smoking anymore. It's just quite remarkable. It's gone the way of snuff. Another awful habit. Anyway, one of Brian's holiday homes. It's got many dotted around the place, and of course the cloches, indeed the where everything from tulips to Brian's favourite vegetable, chard, are grown. What is it with you and chard? Anyway,
I just like to be in charge.
Ah, I see. 2 minutes and 39 with 38.7 kilometres to go. We've got that intermediate sprint. It is nice, the Primus, not least because actually I thought it was beer, but it may well have simply been a gas tank. I've just realised that they were given as a gift. There we are. Be handy for the likes of Sam Dumoulin to stand on and receive his kisses. Some of you are saying, who's the lady that's constantly here at the Eneco Tour? It's Miss Eneco. Now, it's clearly a title that doesn't last for 1 year, because unless she gets voted in again and again. But she's here every year. And I was thinking, gosh, they do look the same. Is it a series of sisters? No. And in fact, I must find out what her name is. I'll tell you in a few moments' time. I did know earlier on, but pass me by. 2.5 minutes, 38 kilometres, and it's puppy paws out front, as you can see. Well, kind of. It's a relaxed chase down at the moment. Everyone seems to be happy with the way things are panning out, just for now.
Yeah, it starts to get a little bit busier now, and now Lotto Soudal are putting a few riders up in this chase. They weren't putting anybody up initially. It was the teams of Ethics, BMC, Lotto, NL Jumbo in the yellow, and Cofidis. Cofidis have disappeared and been replaced by the other red jerseys. That's the jerseys of André Greipelstein, Lotto Soudal. The gap coming down, I don't think they want to get too involved with this golden kilometre the next time round. and but once they get onto the circuit, this gap will come down fairly quickly. You've got to remember that Martin Elminger is still a strong rider, going well at the moment, 23 seconds down, and with seconds on the golden kilometre, I'm pretty sure if he picks up some seconds in that, it's going to be too close for comfort. But you know, with no wind, plenty of teams riding at the front of the peloton. This is going to be another sprint here in Ardui.
Ardui, it's a great name, and there'll be a great name, I'm sure, writ large on the local press tomorrow, whether it's a famous one or indeed somebody that's managed to beat the big names who are, of course, part of this. This is Jonas Rickert. They've had a couple of bike issues today, Top Sport. Not quite sure what the problem is. This looks like a brief chat. Now, oh, it's radio issue. There we are. The restrictions on radio seem to have just passed away completely, Brian.
They opened it up this year, and everybody's using them. They tried to put a block on them, but I don't think they made it, you know, quite public that it was going to open up to every race.
I think the cheapness of the units actually just came within range of most teams.
Yeah, it's just we saw it in the Euros. They never used them in the European Championships, and it was a good race, and they were having to go back to the car to get information. So I just think for safety reasons, it's a good way of doing things, and all they want is information. If they want to kind of block the radios or do something about the radios, then allow the teams to use the radios, but just broadcast Radio Tour, which gives them all the information they need.
What do we want? Information. The prisoner. A long time ago. Somebody's going to take a view today, that's for sure. And here are Lotto. They're already in formation. They mean business.
The two things that they wanted to they want to try and keep Tim Wellens out of trouble. He is a potential winner of this race. He's won it over the last 2 years, but he's already lost 32 seconds, and I cannot really see Tim Wellens making that back on a flying Rowan Dennis. So they'll have to think of different ways if they want to try and win this race overall. But Tim Wellens right up there, just to the left of our picture now, the last of the second last of the riders in the reds for Lotto Soudal, just keeping him out of trouble.
What about Tyler's changed himself? I call him Farrar because I've just stuck with it, but I know his name is actually Fairer. Seems odd to me, but apparently it's local dialect where he's from.
Okay, at his age, he's not really worried.
He really isn't. I actually asked him about it. He said, "Oh, honestly, stick with Farrar. That's what everyone knows me as." But you're going with Fairer all of a sudden. Primus, 1,000 metres. Here we go.
Yeah, just true to his name, because he said to me, I said, "What is your real name?" And he said, Tyler Fairer. That's the way I was brought up to be called.
And then he goes and says to me, "Call me Farrar because that's what everyone knows me as."
Yes.
So make your mind up, Brian.
It's the same with Jens Vogt and Voigt. It's
Vogt.
Yeah.
Yep. Is apparently how you pronounce it, according to the Yenzi himself. So we just stick with the Yenzi. There we are. We're on to concrete. They've laid a gas line as well, as you can see. Probably Primus themselves on the right-hand side of the road as you're looking at it, and indeed as they're riding it. This actually does have significance. I expect it to be fought for.
Well, it was won by Steels from Top Sport, and he'll be wanting to do it again, but that man, Asselman, decides to go.
He wants it, and it's big news for the Rum Pot boys because it's beer money apart from anything else. Mark McNally is after him. I think McNally's got a good option here, has he? Can he continue the power? Top Sport are going to have this, though, I'm afraid, and it's bragging rights.
Same three as last one.
He actually skipped over what was perceived to be a timing marker there. I hope he managed to stop the clock. Bugger back, 32.2 kilometres to go, and look at the technical approach that you're looking at right now. Brian, jink and dive, you're going to have to learn to do it.
Yeah, you just saw the chicane inside the last kilometre, or just about a kilometre to go. Then it's pretty much full gas all the way. Well, it will be when they come up the finishing straight. Another obstacle here in the run-in is they put, you know, some barriers up there, but it gets, this will be in one line the last time through, and it gets a bit dicey, and that's why we've seen at the head of the peloton other teams coming up. They are really worried about this finish. It's a pretty dicey finish.
Barrier legs all over the place. I'm hoping that everyone stays safe. They don't seem to have. They seem to have eschewed the, ignored the indented barriers with the hoardings that are so helpful in a situation such as this. Here we are, finally got them, but it's a bit late with only 350 minutes to go. And here's your gentle left-hander, shortest way home, left-hand side of the road. However, they will break and spread wide across the road, left hand as you're looking at it now, but to their right, the riders. And indeed, it will be hell for leather at this moment. So 2 laps to go. Next time by, we're going to have a bell. Always a joy. And we'll see whether they bought a new one. I think the last time it had something like Amstel 2004 on it. Do you remember? It was almost like, that'll do. Nobody'll notice. Of course we did. Minute and 23. Everyone wants a good look at this, Brian.
Yes, and a lot of them will know this finish. They've used it many times before in the past. But that's the chicane, just about 1 kilometre to go. We also have a left-hand corner with about 1,200 metres to go. That's the first of them. So you got a sharp left-hander and straight into pretty much a chicane, and then it's pretty much straight with a kind of left-hander towards the finishing line. But I think it's compulsory now at this level to have the type of barriers in the last 300 or 400 metres of the finish. They can use other barriers like they're using at the moment before that.
Road space is going to be an absolute premium. Here's Feline et al. I wonder how well placed he's going to be. Trek Segafredo certainly want to guide him to potential overall glory. It's interesting to see Tinkoff as well coming up and just having a good old look. Peter Sagan, of course, don't count him out. There's that last little turn once it unwinds, and it's arrow straight for about the last 200 metres, 175, something like that. And they're having a look as well, and there's no smiles going on here at all, Brian. This is a serious business, this finish.
Yeah, the sprinter teams were controlling things, the gap coming down to 1 minute and 19 seconds now, and the teams, the GC teams, are just coming towards the front, controlling things. Now we're on this circuit, and it does get, you know, twist and turn, gets a little bit narrow in places, and they just want to keep their GC riders well out of trouble, and that's why you can see Trek Segafredo coming up in the white, and also Tinkoff. So
there we are. That's the Primus checkpoint sprint. Stijn Stales taking it ahead of Mark McNally. Stales doing it for Top Sport Vlaanderen with Jesper Aschelman also involved. What about this golden kilometre, Brian? Are you still a fan? Have you gone off it? Are you surprised it hasn't spread?
I think it'll come out. It changed the jersey last year.
Yeah, it did.
Which was good for Asselman. I think it will come in more to play this year because it's a lot closer. There's less kind of hard climbs. So I think it's good. Even this Primus, you know, in the first Primus checkpoint sprint, Steele's got 15 points. In the second they get 12 points. The difference between the points is, you know, you get 10 points for a win, but also you get more points for being in front by a considerable amount of time. So if you're 30 seconds ahead at that Primus checkpoint, you get 1 point. And it goes up in that 1 minute, you get 2 points, and it goes up in increments. So the further you are ahead, the more points you get in that.
So it's worth pushing on, essentially. Yeah. So they put them front and towards the end. One, to get a breakaway really motivated and build up as much time as they possibly can, because of that back counting, if you like. So they've got some great ideas here, and I like that. The fact that they are experimenting. Without any detriment to the racing. I think it actually helps an awful lot. The Golden Kilometre, by the way, in case you're new to it, they've been running it here for a couple of years. I think it started on the Tour of Belgium and then was adopted by the Eneco Tour. It's a solitary kilometre of gold. It's got 3 intermediate sprints within that kilometre. So 1 at the beginning, 1 at the very end, and 1 bang in the middle. So essentially you have 3 sprints coming at 500-metre intervals. You take 1 once the kilometre starts, there's a central one after 500 metres, and then finally after the kilo is finished you get them again. 3, 2 and 1 seconds. It's handy, and as you said, Brian, if you manage to get yourself in a breakaway, those seconds can be very useful. It can be a jersey changer.
Yeah, as we mentioned, it has been in the past last year with Asselman, who's in the breakaway today. And will he go for the seconds? Yes, of course he will, but I don't think it's going to change anything now, because last year it was in the second stage. Now we're into the third stage with the time trial yesterday. The best placed is Elminger at 23 seconds, and with 9 seconds maximum, it's going to move him up, but it's not going to take the jersey off the Aussie, Dennis.
There is a bit of a grind here, as you can see. It's not entirely flat. They're all starting to think about it. What about Dimension Data? Who's going to be their choice today? Eddie Boss again, just to try and grind it in?
Yeah, I think so. If they got, the thing is, if you get a good position turning left, then it's going to benefit your sprinter. Everybody else will be playing catch up. As we see, the kind of technical nature, just all concentrated around that the last, the 500 metres before the last kilometre.
Groenewegen wearing the Dutch national jersey, sort of embedded at the moment. You see the flash of yellow for his Lotto Jumbo boys, and you can see the red, white and blue. I don't know what that is in Dutch, actually. The Rot, Weiss and Blau. That was just a guess, because I don't know. Anyway, Francis de Jeur, also with the Bleu, Blanc et Rouge, coming through as well. Now I was hugely impressed with them, the way they reformed after disintegration. They were one of the quickest, almost it seemed telepathically, to know almost where each of them are, and that's going to bode well for Demar today. He could get a good finish.
They actually worked quite well in stage one, which a very chaotic sprint. Everybody said that. I think the best team that worked well was, in fact, Katusha, but Christoph was propped on the front with about 300 metres to go and never really had it. It was a strong enough sprint. He finished 5th in the end, but at the end of the day, he never produced the win. So, but this is a very different sprint altogether. It's about positioning with 1,500 metres to go, and from that chicane, you still got 1 kilometre, and it's straight full gas, and you need some big firepower. So you need as many. I think you need at least 2 teammates with you around that chicane. If you get 2 teammates in front of you, then you're in a very good position to ride well. And the riders that have ridden well here, that are in this race, are Boonen, Bohani, and Gripo, and even Tyler Ferrer.
Well, I wonder if Tyler will ever deliver one of these. I think he's got great classics hopes, of course, and we'll see how he goes with that. BMC just eating into this one, and we've gone tash-tastic as Taylor Phinney brings his face fungus to the fore. Another one of these big turns. Now, when we're here next time by, Brian, there's only going to be 10 Ks to go, and every single one of these turns is going to have an impact. Yeah,
coming up to the golden kilometre now, 200 metres, and the person who's going to benefit the most is the rider in second position from IAM.
Yeah, and he's certainly going to go for it, but who is going to be out there to stop him? Don't forget 3 intermediate sprints. So the first one is coming up fairly soon. It looks like, is he going to be allowed to take this as part of the breakaway? Are they mad? So that puts him now only 20 seconds in arrears, having started the day 23 seconds down. It's almost punishing for those behind. I think they're going to let him have all of them.
Yep.
He's probably said to them, look, I'll do lots and lots of work for you, and there could be some beers in it for you.
He's going to do a kilometre turn now.
He's going to do a 1 kilometre turn. He said, let me have these seconds. They're useless to you guys. None of the other teams that are in this break really are minded to try and steal those back. They don't care if he closed the gap on Rowan Dennis. And so he takes 3 more bonus seconds. It's all 3, 2 and 1, of course, at each of these. And there'll be 3 more coming his way. So he has a tasty 9. I don't think we need that. It's pretty obvious. You can see it's quite a distance. In fact, oh, that was funny. Just coming up as if to say, it looks like you're flagging. Stein Steels comes up and says, look, let me do a little bit, for goodness sake. You can have it back, but you're flagging and we're all losing out. And so he gives him a little toe. Let me help, says Stein Steels. And Martin Alminger says, thank you, well.
Well, it moves him right up.
It does.
If he stays with it, if he doesn't lose any time on today's stage,
watch this. He's going to say
he's now
thanks
at
now.
14 seconds, which is equal third. So moves him up to Sutherland.
He couldn't say anything.
Well, he's 37 years old, do you know what I mean?
Bless him. Well, also he's in the shop window, we remind you. He's probably one of those. Is Elmiger got a contract for next year at that age? I wouldn't have thought so.
He hasn't, no.
No. So let him have his fun. Nice to see that they had that accord. Minute and 31 is the break. Welcome back. BMC doing their thing, which is looking after their principal. And, well, for the time being, of course, that happens to be Rowan Dennis. Greg Van Avermaet didn't have a brilliant time trial. Possibly could have gone a little bit better. But they've got some options today. And they've got some real good time trialists as well, of course, including Rowan Dennis himself, the likes of Taylor Finney, etc. They'll be hoping, I think, to stretch their legs on the team time trial, where they may well just go ahead and secure the title, or at least put enough space between Dennis and everybody else for it to be unbridgeable. I guess we're going to have to see. Today, though, it's about the sprint. Just hoving in on Lars Bohm. There's somebody else that we haven't really considered today. May well be on duty for others, we'll see. He's Andrea Gardini is the man that he's likely to be helping to move into place. Here is BMC, and there is the leader and the leader's jersey of this Eneco Tour. It's Rowan Dennis. If they can get to the team time trial with Dennis in a good position, and that's what this is going to be about, we're dwelling yet again on the dangerous 3 kilometres from home rule, and if ever was a race that really it is important and a stage within that race where it's even more concentratedly so, distilled almost in terms of its importance. We're coming up to it. There's Bert van Leeuwenhoek. I think he's still got that jersey at the moment, having taken both of the Primus yesterday, but it depends on the gaps back to the peloton.
It depends. We're talking about the minutes, and I think from the first stage this gap went up to a maximum 6:25, so I believe that his teammate Stein Steels might have taken that off his shoulders.
Well, at least it stays in-house, as it were.
But look at this gap, 1:46 now, inside to 20 kilometres ago. They have to get, as they say in Scotland, a shifty on now.
And Francis de Jure coming to join put more hands on the pump. Likewise, Astonine, they're pale blue. They're looking busy. What about Cannondale Drapac and Bafta Vippet today, the men in green?
Good possibility. They are looking after him towards the front. Unfortunately, he crashed out the Tour of Britain in the first stage, hitting the barriers. But
there
they're
he is
looking
in his
after
aero
him.
helmet. Looks like he's wearing an ostrich egg.
Langeveld is looking after him now. De Vries is trying to wave riders by. I don't think he wants to do a turn. Russen has come to the front for Lotto NL Jumbo in the yellow and putting a bit more of a pace on because they have to. 1:47 now.
Well, we say a minute per 10 Ks and you got a chance, and these guys look reasonably motivated. I just wonder what that last golden kilometre has done in terms of energy levels for Martin Elmiger. He's starting to take a turn again with the help of Stein Steels, who guided him to the last of the 3 seconds bonuses he had. Beautiful traffic management here, as you can see. Everyone loves cycling in this part of the world, and everyone's delighted to see them come by. They'll be listening on the radios as well. It's getting lively, but the gap is holding, and 18.7 kilometres. This break has got a chance, Brian.
It does. The riders have to commit themselves, or teams have to commit themselves to the front of the peloton now, because 1:47. Russen has already ridden a lot of today. Okay, it's not been the hardest stage, 186 kilometres in flattish, mostly flattish roads. The other teams, Cannondale coming up, they're just looking after their sprinter without having to do any work at the front. But you have to remember, you have to bring these 5 riders back before you get a chance of winning. So they have to commit riders to the front. You got to remember, after this stage, you've got the team time trial, but it starts to get lumpy as well in the other stages. So this is the last pretty much flat sprint, pure sprinters finish, because there's lumps and bumps in the other stages. And so this is the last pure sprinter stage. We've already had a messy one in the first stage, won by Groenewegen, and now this is the second.
Big cut through here, and you'll be seeing it used a little bit later on. There is a pennant man there, sort of standing brave, but it's a big turn, and this will bad time to get yourself into any kind of bother, and it's King. It says Denios, but it's King, who's going to take another bike, just trying to be as swift as they possibly can. There we are, confirmation of that. I know it's spelt strangely, but it is King. So they've turned, they've made the big turn, and unfortunately he's going to be slightly second hand by the end of this one because of that. Because the pace must not diminish right now, and they know it. There's a danger that the breakaway will make it all the way. They're coming to what will be the 3-kilometre marker fairly soon. There's a little jink and a slight climb here as we get up to that banner. Then they'll descend again. It's essentially to go over a highway. Oh, there we are. You can see there's the banking that they're on at the moment. So they'll come up this intersection and then sort of scoot down the other side. The 2 kilometres to go marker, everybody needs to be in a decent position. And in fact, there's a turn off this bridge as well. And you can see how important it is to certain teams to at least have a good look-see. And this is Wouter Wippert for the men in green, but up ahead of them, making the final couple of turns. And this, I believe, is your chicane. Let's have a quick look. They've done the left to get to this nasty right left in very short order. And those red barriers are probably aptly coloured because it might get very nasty. So they speed on after the chicane. They'll come to the Flamme Rouge, which will be the Flamme Rouge in another 15 or so Ks in a few moments' time. But there are pinch points as well, and somebody's decided to guide us around some litter bins. There we are. It's a narrowing. It's actually a paved section where the public are gathered, so it pinches to a single lane at this point. Indeed, then we have our sort of gentle turn for home, and this left-hander that they're coming to right now, it doesn't really fully unwind. It has a couple of phases to it, so you don't see the finish line until quite late, Brian, do you?
Yeah, about 200 metres to go. Once you come round this gentle left-hand corner, just in the rider's viewpoint now. But this is the turn, I think, coming up. The left-hand turn. You'll see it. We never saw it for the breakaway, but we're going to see it for the peloton.
So they drift to the right-hand side of the road to give themselves the handiest view of it. Everyone will want to turn right to take the left, if you see what I mean. So drift right to take the left. Here then are our breakaway men, and that's the Matina evening Vespers bell that's being rung right now. You can hear it right through the Abbey. So put those beers down that you're brewing and get yourself ready for prayer. And we may well have to issue some on that corner later on. So they head round the church, and a minute and 31. Breakaway's got a chance, everybody knows it, and this is investment time, I think it's fair to say, and they're really going for this. Well, there's Tony Martin, who's trying to get into time trialling mode, and in fact there's other decent time trialists as well who are trying to close this gap, but it's holding at a minute and 28. Could this breakaway make it, Brian?
I'm not too sure now. Now you've got to Tinkoff. I think it's Trusov at the front now, yeah, with Manuel Quinziato and Tony Martin. They are 3 exceptionally strong riders, and you can see we're around that chicane. Now the tempo is up. This gap is going to come down very quickly. Well, it has to if any of the riders from the peloton want to win this stage today. Kingrett's back in. Good for him. And the rest of them almost tempo setting at the back, it looks like, but there's a very, very high pace to today, is there not? And here they come. This is how it may look. Edvald Bosenhagen having a good old look-see. Arnaud Demer not that far away from him either. They hear the bell. It's an annoying one, isn't it? But anyway, there it is. They could do with a bit of a boomer. Across the line they come. And just saw Soup and Buani as well, just embedded, and they'll be doing their stuff in about 15 kilometres time. 14.3 for the breakaway, or a minute and 26 further up the road. It's nervous, Brian. I'm getting a bit nervous myself, I must admit. Yeah, it's one of these sprints that is going to be very difficult to get your whole train. If you're going to sit behind your train and let them do the work, it's going to be very difficult. I think what is going to happen, if you've got probably 2 riders to help you into that last corner, having a kind of smaller train, you know, kind of satellite group of riders is going to probably suit you better in this type of sprint. Wippert just getting rid of excess weight
He doesn't need it for the time being, so the water bottles, full as they were cast to a young lad at the side of the road. Even in a pressure situation, riders generally tend to be kindly guys, and they select people to hand their bottles to. Sometimes if they don't like you, it can come at you a little bit quicker. See some cameramen suffering this year. Tony Martin with his the least aero lip in the peloton, but it doesn't seem to hamper him when he's in time trialing mode, and he goes for it right now. 1:23. Looking back, you see Rowan Dennis staying well and truly embedded within the BMC group at the front. They're doing the chasing to preserve his jersey, because let's remind you that Martin Elmiger has found 9 seconds today, and so he's come back to just 12 seconds down. And every second counts, of course, in cycling. Vippert just decides to issue a bit of spittle, possibly an oath. It'll be a dry mouths today, I can tell you, on this approach. 13.2 kilometres to go. We're waiting for the windmill, and indeed yet another turn for home, as they're out here in the countryside heading to Maalbeekstraat as we speak. I'll keep you informed. Maalbeekstraat is the next big turn that they will come on to in a few moments' time. Meanwhile, these guys, 13 from home, they've done a good job, haven't they?
Very good job, and it's not finished yet. Just see Arashiro almost touching the wheel of McNally in front, but they're sitting so close. They're actually on the rivets and trying as hard as they can. They're doing longer turns now at the front, just swinging over, more like a team time trial. The gap coming down, but will it be enough? I believe that they still will be caught, but they're making a nice fist of this.
They're doing a fantastic job as they head on to Pitimistrasse. There we are. I can't remember what Pitimi means actually, but there we are. There's lots of streets named after that as well. And here we are. Looks like, I don't know, they've stretched something over those veins. Maybe it's a stocking. 12.4 kilometres then, 1:12, and they look finally doomed. They've done a lot of work out there, and they're having to take a bit too much wind. And the wind is just starting to pick up, as you can see from the mill. It's suggesting a slight increase in pace, but it's as nothing compared to this. Look at the long line already. This is a proper chase.
Yeah, the pace is on. Daniel Oss, Manuel Quinziato, Tony Martin, Frison also up there for Lotto Soudal. These are strong riders riding hard in the front, and you know, Oss and Quinziato part of BMC's team time trial squad, so they're putting their hard hitters up towards the front of the peloton to try and bring these riders back. Martin Elminger at the front, swinging over, as Carlton says, already taken 9 seconds courtesy of the golden kilometre. He started the day at 23 seconds, so he's moved up to pretty much equal third place in the general classification. That's if they don't bring him back.
Well, rearing their heads at the moment and doing a great job of it. Well, keeping their heads down, I think, but ready for battle. Team Dimension Data. They've got Valbosenhagen they're thinking about. Bernie Eisler can punch a big hole in the air when he needs to. Great driving force. Tyler Farrar will be the last of their lead-out men, and the peloton will suddenly round their particular turn at the windmill. And here it goes. Let's have a look. Who's going to do a cheeky one? A couple. In fact, more than that. In fact, Roompot looked like they've actually practiced it almost as a team. They go through. Cofidis today. I don't know. Do you believe in Buani? Well, we'll find out today. He is given for not having the cleanest line, and today that's going to be a big question mark for absolutely everybody. How do you keep it sensible? Gardini and Astana, he's got good lead-out men as well. We've seen Lutsenko doing a lot of work, and the men in pale blue are here and determined to get busy. And Kittle's men coming into view. All right, Tony Martin's been doing a lot of work and giving them an excuse to hide out of the wind. And there is Francis Tejer in the white, red, white and blue of their familiar livery with that four-leaf clover. Will they get lucky today on behalf of Arnaud Demar? Well, you've got to be in position in order to allow somebody to get lucky, and they're great at positioning, it seems. Katusha moving in with a big white K on the red background. Just settling in behind Lotto, who will be working for Andre Greipel. He wears the Germans champions jersey, we remind you, so it's a white jersey with some stripes to it of the German flag. But Katusha, well, into the red maybe they will be, most certainly by the end, and it's on behalf of Alexander Kristoff, the great Norwegian. These guys finally look like they don't believe. They're starting to just weave a little bit, and there's a conversation going on as well. 59 seconds with 10 to go. 10 kilometres from home, big turn by the old grain hoppers, and then they'll be heading up Mulbig-Strata. They'll be cutting onto the big highway at the N37. They'll then be on that rise as they come up and over the highway itself, and then they cut back on themselves with about 3 to go, and that's when the nightmare really potentially can begin. Some big work here being done by your boys, Brian.
Yeah, nobody really wants to take it on. That's why we've seen a lot of different colours of jerseys at the front of the peloton. And, you know, it was Lars Bach from Lotto Soudal, but he's been swept away. Now you've got this compression in this right-hand corner.
Big backup, almost to a standstill, and there's going to be several of these pinch points. That's the first of them of great significance at 9.4 kilometres to go for the men out front, but that's the 10k marker for these guys. They're still a minute down, and the distance is narrowing. 9.3, but they're holding on our men up the road here.
Well, this is a case that nobody really wants to take it on too early. Just inside the last 10 kilometres, they're still holding just under a minute. Nobody wants to commit fully. You can just see a lot of red at the front. Katusha shaking ahead from Niels Pollitt.
Wow.
Also, Cofidis up towards the front. Lotto. So it's a sea of red at the front, but nobody really wants to take this on.
Cofidis, Lotto, Katusha, all red liveried teams, don't forget, all towards the fore, and they're starting to hurl abuse at each other as well. And finally, Lampre Merida come and join in the fun, but these guys are having theirs as well, and they're digging deep. I'm starting to believe that they might just make it. 57 seconds. If that gap, because it's been solid for a while, that clock, if that's the truth, these guys have got a great chance.
Everybody wants to be at the front of the peloton, but they don't want to do the work, and they were all looking at each other. Lars Bach came up and said, come on guys, we need to get our act together here. 56 seconds, 8.5 kilometres to go. All Elminger's thinking now is, you know, that leader's jersey. All the sprinters are thinking about is, guys, get organised. But nobody's, you know, where is the Ethics Quick Step? They're all sitting back and waiting, leaving it to the red jerseys of Katusha and Lotto Soudal.
Well, they may well be staring each other into the abyss here. I Am Cycling are not going to do any pushing. They're almost an anchor on the front. You saw Tim Vellens just getting into position as well, called up by Andre Greipel, presumably. They've got to start selecting those riders who are not necessarily part of a lead-out train to try and bridge the gap. And frankly, you can run out of personnel like that very, very quickly. If you're holding back your lead-out train, Brian, for later on, you can basically run into the buffers yourself.
But sometimes you say you got to be prepared to lose to win. But at this moment in time, I think with this gap, 54 seconds, you've got to remember Arashiro is a strong rider. They're using up Tim Wellens. You know, he won this race overall for the last 2 years, so they're using up a lot of their top men. Martin Elbig, a strong rider from Switzerland, 37-year-old, thinking of taking that jersey off around Dennis's back. Stein Steels has been shown well. Jesse Asserman took the yellow jersey last year and held it for 2 days. And McNally, he'll always commit himself in a breakaway. So these are stubborn 5 riders, and it'll take a big chase to get them back.
Well, it was almost an open door, almost, as we said, a gentleman's excuse me. Come on, lads, let's get it together, and then we'll tear up the agreement a little bit later on. I think this may well be too late. 52 seconds with 7 kilometres remaining. Sky also coming to join the fun. Well, these guys are having it at the moment. 52 seconds is what they've got, and still the peloton not within sight of them just for the time being on the straight. They will hove into view for us on this very, very long lens, but they're deep into this one today, and they've had to dig very, very deep as well. This is Martin Elmiger on the front and doing a big turn as well. He's got bonus seconds today. I think if he comes home with the lead time, if these guys do deliver, it's still touch and go. A big turn. You can see the pace that's finally happened. Oh, there's not much gap there, and there's a very brave pennant man who's having a very squeaky time there. Goodness me, I'm almost audible from down there. Brave man. Good job he's wearing bright orange. There might be some red faces today, though.
Yeah, they still have to commit to this. Tim Wellens coming up to the front. Tony Martin is still there, but still a lot of teams just sitting back and waiting, and they can't afford to do that. Coming down a little bit now, 48 seconds, but these riders, they've tremendous effort they have. 6.5 minutes almost earlier on today. It's been cut down, and it's touch and go whether it'll be brought back.
Arashiro, well, they'll be really will be singing in Japan. He's a huge hero over there. And of course, he was part of the Bahrain team for next year. He's signed a 2-year contract. These guys may be signing their own warrant, I'm afraid. And it won't just be a rest. 47 seconds with 5.7 kilometers to go. This really is touch and go. They may well make the catch extraordinarily late, but the break, motivated, might just deliver. Martin Elminger is thinking about potentially making a huge steal today of the jersey itself.
Yeah, he's the oldest in the breakaway, the most experienced, and he got them well drilled. If you can remember, Elminger and Jack Bauer were in a breakaway in the Tour de France a few years ago and get caught in the final straightaway. So he's got them drilled, but just Lars Bak is on the front again for Lotto Soudal. There's no big team want to take control now.
Look at this. I'm not doing this all myself. Pitch in if you want to play the game. And Farrar comes up, has a look, and wonders as to what end it would be if he got involved. He's the last favoured lead-out man, of course, for Edvald Boasson-Hagen within Dimension Data in their familiar black and white. He doesn't want to invest too much too soon, and unfortunately, that's the conundrum that all these guys are chasing or facing. Finally, Giant go for it. And John Degenkolb has more or less said, look, to hell with it. If nobody else is going to do this, let's do it ourselves. 43 seconds, 4.7 kilometres to go, though. Big turn in about 700 metres time. If they can hold on to it, the road becomes technical and they will be out of sight on many, many occasions in the run for the line. That's a target for them. Downhill run right now, and everybody else just trying to dance around the street furniture. They're still all locked together. There's not much road space here at all, and in fact it's going to be at a premium when they take the turn themselves, with about 3.8 kilometers to go. 500 meters only for the men out front, and brave work being invested here by Tyler, who's digging deep here. He's decided to go in hard, and this is for Edvald to presumably have to work on his own. There we go, big turn then coming. That's about 3.8 to go, by the way. Ticker slightly out, but nonetheless the road begins to weave about all over the place. Now these guys have got to basically just action the chase fully. Get fully committed. 37 seconds with 3.8 kilometers to go. As soon as we get 2 to go, the break are going to believe, and if they got 20, I think they might make it.
Well, this flyover over the motorway is going to feel like a mountain for the breakaway, but they still have a healthy advantage. Everybody's still, sitting on their team colours, and they're not combining well together. They're all sitting separately, and Team Sky leading the way. Groeneweggen's team coming up as well. It's still touch and go. 33 seconds, 3.4 to go.
Well, hard to pick who might deliver here, but I think Jesper Asselman is probably my pick if the break makes it, from Rumpot in the orange. 26 years of age, the Dutchman. He's had some very, very good results. In fact, led the Eneco, as we told you, twice last year. So he's used to this kind of situation. Here's the big pullback. There's the mini mountain that they're climbing at the moment, but they've still got 28 seconds. If they can hold that gap, and it's a tall order, about 20 seconds with 2 to go, they might have a chance, but you feel that essentially their power levels may just ebb at exactly the wrong time. It's touch and go though, Brian.
Yeah, they're over that small incline, and it's slightly downhill now and flat all the way to the finish. They're giving it absolutely everything. You just see that their heads are going down. They're coming to the front. They're doing their efforts, but how much have they got? They're riding on fumes at the moment.
Mark McNally from Wanty just pulls off the front here. He's got the most aero helmet here, has he? Well, save for Jesper Asselman, and they know each other very well indeed. Ex-Madison Genesis, of course, Mark McNally, up there in the Cheshire zone around about Liverpool. How will he go today? Well, it might well be an absolute belter of a day for him, with 26 seconds and 2.4 to go. Let's see if they can hold on to 20 by the time another 300 metres expires here. So 2 kilometres to go. They're going to take this technical left-hander in a few moments' time. And then don't forget, it's that nasty chicane which could take some big prisoners behind them. They're easing off a little bit, starting to think about their own sprint. Meanwhile, these guys have got no choice other than to just carry on going for it.
The problem there was that Elminger put a massive turn in there and he actually killed the breakaway. Nobody could come through and give him a turn. He is the person that's going to benefit the most. I don't think he'll have enough now because the peloton are in view. I don't think he'll have enough now to take the leader's jersey. So I think he has to think, why am I wasting energy dragging these guys to the finish? This could be a potential stage win.
Could be. Security bike off, and here come Lotto Jumbo. This is for Dylan Groenewegen, winner of stage one. Cofidis in the red, Lotto Jumbo, of course, and Groenewegen in the yellow and black. There come spearing up through the centre. Francis is yet again. They're a pincer movement for them. 19 seconds. So, big moment for these guys, and indeed for everybody else. Here's the big turn for the peloton. Drift for the right-hand side. Now, all of a sudden, they've got this chicane to deal with. Now, our breakaway are already onto it. They're just completing it right now, but the danger moment is coming up rapidly for these guys. We'll get the long view. There's the church. Here's the right-hander. Then they've got the left, and the brake are still there. They're still there. They're under the Flamme Rouge, and Arashiro's gone for this one. The Japanese starts to weave over the road. They believe they're going to make it, but the fast men are going to suddenly appear around the corner. They mustn't hold back too much. They want to keep something back themselves for a sprint. Mark McClay here from ex of Madison Genesis these days of Wanty is having a look as well. He's got the aero helmet. The Chargers are behind them. They may well still have their fun, these guys. Oh my goodness, how are they going to bring it home? Stein Steels gives a steely grin and indeed a stare down to everybody else. It could be minor places. These guys are going to take the left-hander. It unwinds only with 200 to go. They're going to stare themselves into the abyss if they're not careful. Here come the Chargers, and they're on a real motor moment. I can tell you, Elminger picks it up as well. Betting in behind him, it's Jesper Asselman. But here come the fast men as well. Oh, they're going to basically blow it at the very last because they couldn't invest for too long. Here we are then, it's Martin Elminger tight on the inside. Everybody else, including Kittel, at the hoardings here. Oh, and they're getting eaten up, are they? One after the other. They're feasting. Everybody else is having their fun, but it's not going to be them. Sagan at the line. Oh my goodness, what a sprint, and what timing that was by the peloton. Skin of your teeth stuff, but it's Sagan who takes the biggest bite of all. Goodness me.
Right, back off the floor. What a finish that was. And, you know, Eneco finished. It was so hectic there. And, you know, he's the best person in the world at getting through really messy sprints. And congratulations there from Nizzolo. Graipo as well. It was a real messy sprint. It's just a pity we never actually saw it from the motorbikes, but they couldn't get in there because the gap was coming down. But I think the breakaway totally messed that up in the finishing straight there. And the 500 metres to go, I thought they're going to stay away and battle for it, but they completely messed that up.
I think they just blew up at the very last. Everybody tried to roll the dice. Arashiro went for it, then Elminger tried to pick it up, couldn't go. Stein Steels was on a stare down, he couldn't make it.
Look at the movement there. There's about, what, 20, 30 riders. The movement is crazy. Left in towards the barriers. It was an absolutely crazy sprint there. I think Christoph is there. Kittel was coming up. He comes on the right-hand side there. Comes a long way around. You can just see Danny Van Poppel squeezes him over to the right-hand side. The riders in the break getting in the way of the sprint. Nowhere to go for some of these riders. Groenewegen. Sagan comes through gaps that weren't there to win the sprint from Danny Van Poppel and Bahani. Groenewegen is fourth, fifth there. Nizzolo, the Italian chap. They were all there. But coming down the finishing straight with 5 bollards, it was, you know, you can just see that McNally, he was the fastest of the breakaway. Yep. He could have been winning his first World Tour stage win, but it wasn't to be. And McNally, I still think, finished in what, possibly 5th there.
I think he was 4th.
An
we'll
amazing
get official
result.
results in a moment. But here is Bawani. There is Sagan. Principal names, of course, with Kittel just edged out, boxed in again, but it was a mess out there, save for a brave breakaway that just didn't have the power to deliver at the end. And the best placed of them was Mark McNally. Let's have a look. In fact, there he is, just on the opposite side to Groenewegen, I think 5th, possibly even 6th. Peter Sagan, winner here, and teased himself up beautifully. Had a good time trial yesterday. He takes bonus seconds today as well. And, well, we'll see how Tinkoff can possibly steer him through a team time trial. The stages are kind of going to come his way because it gets a bit more feisty, more classic, if you like. We've got some cobbles and some climbing tomorrow. Nothing too serious, and shouldn't be any fear for Peter Sagan. Then there's the team time trial, and then we go to the Ardennes on stage 6, and then the Mur itself. Great performance by a man who we said at the top of the day looked extraordinarily relaxed. Confirmation of the result. Ardoy welcomes Sagan ahead of Van Poppel, Buani, Groenewegen, Mark McNally, the best of the breakaway, and they really did fall away, didn't they? Nizzolo there, and Elmiger, who was also in the break. Gosh, Brian, every time you and I sit next to each other, it seems we get an absolute drama-filled moment, and that was another one.
It was. I'm a bit gutted for Mark McNally, if I'm being honest there, but they came in the last kilometre, they had enough, they started looking around, and unfortunately they came up quickly behind. This man Sagan, he was coming through gaps that were just, you know, opening up in front of him. Unfortunately for many of the riders behind, there was no room. When you come into a finishing straight, not that wide, with you know, 5 riders coming at you fairly quickly, it's always going to be a very difficult sprint. But you have to be in it to win it. You have to be in the right place. And Sagan, absolute amazing sprint. He's the best. Looking at it again, Kittel comes down the right hand side. I think as McNally goes to the right hand side, it kind of blocks a few of them coming through. Watch Danny Van Poppel, checks back here, goes left. He's looking at it. He's absolutely nowhere. He's on the right hand side. Sagan, he comes left and brushes past Bahani. Bahani's no, I mean, rider going through gaps as well. Absolute amazing sprint again by Sagan.
Remarkable. The thing about Sagan, he's got power and he's got poise. We talked about his amazing bike handling skills, and that if it got a bit dicey, and that certainly was. Don't forget, you've got slower riders from a breakaway that's being absorbed, just hampering everybody's lines, save of course for Mark McNally. What a shame he didn't manage to hold on, because clearly of the breakaway he was in the best shape at the very end, but unfortunately nobody had anything else to give, and they just mistimed it. Just a bit too much cat and mouse late on. Well, as soon as any gap opened up, Sagan went straight into it and just powered through. That was the point, Brian. It was the change of pace late on that really was magical.
When you're on it, you're on it, and yeah, sometimes you know, Lady Luck shines on, you know, the fortunate, and you can just see Sagan here looking at where he came from. He was on the right hand side here, you just pointing to yourself, nowhere to go. All of a sudden, opens up, bang, quick at reacting, and absolutely amazing. He's laughing at it now. How did I win that stage?
Peter the Great reigns on. Well, what a great race this is. The Eneco Tour really should be a big part of your diary every single year, because it's always a joy. And this year in particular, of course, as prep for the World Championships. Well, there you go. Sagan, awesome at the moment, says Paul Robinson. World champ again soon. Well, I imagine the odds have just significantly shortened, Paul, in that regard. He really is absolutely outstanding. Here's the take and the breakaway. They're going to think about this one. They'll probably mention it in Christmas cards to each other for many years to come. There we are. And Sagan at the moment is locked out behind a phalanx of sprinters, as you can see. He goes to the boards, and at this point he's following Groenewegen. Then he hits the boards again. Then he comes through the gap, spears past Buani, past Van Poppel, and hits the line, as if that's the sort of thing he does every day. Unbelievable.
With 150 metres to go, he was blocked in, made his own space, came round Groenewegen and Bahani. Whoa.
Didn't touch anyone, and nobody could touch him today. I like Peter Sagan a lot. I am very much looking forward to seeing how he goes for the rest of this race, and indeed in Qatar.